With Eric and me in their talons, the bats flew toward the tiny island. As we got closer, the speck of land came into focus. Just a beach the size of a small backyard, with a single palm tree in the middle. When we reached the island, the bats dive bombed, then whoop, dumped us onto the beach and soared off. I brushed the sand out of my clothes. Was that supposed to happen? Of course! I walked toward Eric. We have to talk. I put my finger on his chest. You can't keep surprising me with. My voice trailed off, because as I talked, a shadow fell over Eric. I slowly turned to see what it could be this time. A sand monster, of course. Why not? Behind me, a monster made of sand rose from the ground. It kept growing and growing, first the size of a one-story home, then 2 stories, then as tall as one of those old houses with a big attic on top. Its face formed into angry eyes and massive fangs. I jabbed my thumb toward the furious monster behind me. Want to tell me what this is? The boss. I don't know what that means. This is a video game. Every few levels end with a big boss battle. You're speaking gibberish. Eric rolled his eyes. If you blast him enough times in the glowing spot on his back or belly, he'll disappear and the portals will pop up. Fine. I'll be happy to go home where people aren't constantly tricking me and pushing me off waterfalls. Fine, fine. I marched in front of the sand monster and it roared like a dinosaur. Ooh, ooh, I'm really scared, I said as I blasted it in the mouth. What are you going to do, eat me? I charged up to full blast and shot it in the belly. It fell over shrieking, then grew bigger and angrier. Go ahead, eat me. It won't even hurt. I'll just come right back here and we'll do the whole thing again because this is a video game and video games are stupid. Oh, shut up, Eric yelled from across the level. What was that? Just save it. You know you're having fun. Oh, really? You know what would be fun? I dodged a spiky sand ball that the monster threw at me. It's sand, you might be saying. Sand is soft. How could a sand ball be spiky? I know, right? Video games are so dumb. What would be fun is having a real friend who explains things and lets me choose for myself. Eric blasted the monster in the back and it fell over again. What? So I'm not a real friend now? The monster grew so big that I couldn't see Eric anymore. So I just started yelling at the monster's belly, hoping Eric could hear me on the other side. I don't know. Real friends trust each other. I could hear Eric charging up his blaster. I charged mine too. Real friends know each other, Eric said. And this friend knows that you never want to have fun or make decisions for yourself. So sometimes he has to push you a little bit. Well, maybe you don't know me as well as you think you do. I blasted the monster's belly. Unknown to me, Eric blasted its back at the same time. In slow motion, the monster looked at me, then turned around to look at Eric. Then a funny thing happened. Its head started twitching unnaturally. As the monster's head snapped from me to Eric and back again, it started to roar, or at least it started trying to roar. Row, 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 row. It started like a lawnmower trying to start. Row, 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 row. Suddenly, the sand monster and island disappeared. Everything faded away, and we were left in a bright blue room. On the wall, words started to appear as if they were being typed. Error 2302. Activate Heidenberg Protocol. Yes? No? Okay, I said to Eric. What's the Heidenberg Protocol? His face was kind of white. I don't know. What do you mean, you don't know? I mean, it's never done anything like this before. Should we pick no? Yeah, probably. I walked into the wall and touched no. The message disappeared, and Eric and I looked at each other and waited for something to happen. Then the message started typing out again. Error 2302. Activate. Hindenburg Protocol. Yes. No. I guess we don't have a choice, Eric said. He touched yes, and the room faded away. The island and ocean came back, but no more monster. That was weird, I said. Yeah, super weird. 3 portals started pushing through the ground in front of us. Why don't we both get out of here, Eric said. We walked toward the middle portal, the home one, but stopped short once it began revealing itself. Something was wrong. The 2 other portals glowed bright blue and purple like before, but not the middle one. The middle one was dull gray, and it was locked. What now? Eric backed up. I don't know. We're trapped? I mean, I'm sure there's a way out. Oh, really? I blasted the locked door. Nothing. I chunked a grenade at it. Didn't even make a dent. Then I blasted Eric. He reappeared on the other side of the island. I started marching toward him. This is all your fault. I blasted him again. He disappeared and reappeared again. Now, what are we going to do? Another blast. Nobody knows we're in here. Blast. And even if they did, what would they do? Reprogram the game and erase us? Blast. We're supposed to go on a field trip to the science center next week, and I really wanted to go to the science center. Blast. This blast is blast. All blast. Your blast fault. Blast, blast. But at the end of my little speech, Eric was just hanging his head while I blasted him to the video game death over and over again. I'm sorry, he finally said. I glared and blasted him again. It is all my fault. I shouldn't have made you come without asking. He plopped onto the sand. I sat down next to him. No, you shouldn't have. But I did have a choice, and I decided to keep going. So I guess we're in this together. Eric didn't say anything. He just kept his head down and started drawing a sad face in the sand. Except Eric is really bad at drawing, so the face looked like a melty pizza. Come on, I picked him up. Let's find a way out of here. We walked through the replay portal and reappeared back on top of the waterfall at the beginning of the level. Okay, I said. When we got into the video game, it felt like we were falling, right? So maybe we just need to jetpack high enough to escape. Eric shook his head. Won't work. We'll bonk our heads on the ceiling first. I looked up at the clear blue sky above me. Okay, Mr. Positive, what ceiling? The whole world is way too big to put into a video game, so programmers make it look like their levels stretch on forever. But they put in these invisible walls and ceilings to keep you from leaving. I remembered the invisible fence in the Rockies. Okay, but maybe there's a portal hidden somewhere. Eric shrugged. Well, grab a jetpack and let's see. We scoured every inch of our fake Hawaiian island. Eric was right. It was a lot smaller than I first thought. In a single afternoon, we had jetpacked over every acre of rainforest, trekked across every beach, and even hiked up the volcano. No hidden portals. At Pearl Harbor, while we were looking for an unlocked spaceship we could use to escape, Eric spoke up. Do you think they'll have a Mark Day for us at school? Mark Whitman was a kid in our class who had disappeared last month. Word around town was that he had drowned trying to swim across the Mahoning River after a storm. Everyone pitched in to find him. They even brought in these special boats to look up and down the river. When they couldn't find his body after 2 weeks, they finally decided to hold a memorial at school. They set up a gigantic picture of Mark on stage, and his big blue eyes stared at us while a bunch of people got up to say nice things about him. Then we got to go home early. I remember being sad, but also a little excited that we got an extra day off. I got mad at myself for feeling like that. Stop it, I told Eric. That's not going to happen. I mean, you didn't tell your parents where you were going, did you? I was silent. And my parents were only going to be gone for an hour or two. They have no idea. How long have we been in here? Half a day? A whole day? They're probably already looking for us. I knew he was right. My mom would probably think I've gotten kidnapped, and my dad would say Eric and I were hiding in the woods. I glanced back at Eric. He looked like he was going to start crying. Come on, I said. Let's go back to Sand Monster Island. We jumped off the cliff from before, jetpacked over the ocean, and let the big bats take us to the island. Sure enough, the sand monster was back. We teamed up and defeated him in no time. This time, he didn't start glitching when we beat him. He just shrieked and disappeared into the island. In his place, the portals reappeared. But now, instead of 3, there were 4. That's it, I said, pointing to the 4th portal. That's our way out. Eric shook his head. No, that one just sends you back to the previous levels. He took a closer look at the locked home portal. Wait a second. Look at this. We ran to the home portal. It was still gray and locked, but over the lock was now written level 20. What does that mean? I asked. Eric turned and smiled. There are 20 levels in the game. Okay. Jesse, this door unlocks when we beat the game. I am not at all a huggy person. But I gave Eric the biggest bear hug of my life right there. Woohoo! It was an awkward hug because we clunked arm blasters, but neither of us cared. We ran through the level 3 portal and did the pitch black skydiving thing again. I must have been getting used to it because I barely felt like puking this time. When we finally stopped falling, I looked up to the Statue of Liberty towering over me. Okay, tell me about this level. This is a good one, Eric exclaimed. See, all the aliens in New York City think they have you trapped on Liberty Island. Little do they know that the Resistance has turned the Statue of Liberty into a rocket ship. So you have to lure all the aliens into the Statue of Liberty, climb to the top, and escape by jetpack like second before Lady Liberty blasts the aliens to the moon. I stared at Eric with my mouth hanging open. Finally, I said, okay, I never want to hear you make fun of me for collecting baseball cards again, because that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. He kept grinning. But it's cool, right? It's cool that the Statue of Liberty is a rocket ship. No, that's dumb. Eric shrugged. To each his own. So how are we going to do this? The problem is that there's only one jetpack at the top, and we won't have enough time to wait for a second one to come back before the Statue of Liberty blasts up. Wait, I interrupted. Doesn't that sentence sound stupid? Before the Statue of Liberty blasts off? I just feel like we need to stop for a second so you can admit how dumb all of this is. Eric rolled his eyes. So I'll run ahead of you and unlock all the doors. You wait 5 minutes, hit that alarm over there to attract the aliens, and run like crazy up to the top with them chasing you. I'll be waiting there with the jetpack, and we'll fly off into the sunset together. Sound like a plan? Yeah. I've always wanted to watch the Statue of Liberty fly to the moon with a bunch of aliens inside. Eric grinned. I know, right? Me too. With that, he ran into the statue and disappeared inside. After 5 minutes of counting, I pressed the big red button next to me, helpfully labeled alarm. Brang, brang, brang. A loud alarm sounded. The Statue of Liberty's eyes began glowing red in the time with the noise. I didn't have to wait long for the aliens to show up. They started pouring into the island from every direction. All kinds of aliens emerged from the water. Some old friends, like the praying mantis and wasps, along with some new ones, including these Transformer ripoffs and stretchy, slinky guys. I blasted as many as I could. Then I made a break for the Statue of Liberty, when the number of aliens started to get overwhelming. I had visited the Statue of Liberty a few years ago on a family vacation to New York, so I thought I knew what the inside would look like. As soon as I entered the lobby, though I realized that the game developers had taken some creative liberties, no more simple lobby and long winding staircase. Instead, I found an elaborate series of platforms and ropes. Seriously? I shouted before climbing onto the first platform. From there, I jumped onto the flame sculpture in the middle of the lobby, and then onto a third platform. I climbed a rope to the fourth ledge, then discovered a problem. My next platform was all the way on the other side of the statue. I considered climbing back down and looking for another way, but the aliens had already filled up the lobby below. In fact, they continued to pour through the door, steadily climbing on top of one another toward me. From above, the whole thing looked like water rising, coming to swallow me. If I didn't move soon, I'd be alien me. I reminded myself that I'd just reappear back at the beginning of the level if I fell into the pit of squirming, shrieking aliens, but it still felt super scary. I took a deep breath and remembered something I learned during my training. Okay, maggot, Sergeant Sandpants had said. When you came across a large pit, shoot your blaster at the ground in the middle of the jump to give yourself an extra boost. What are you talking about? I yelled at the time. Now I knew. I took a deep breath, jumped as far as I could, then shot a blast down into the pit the second I started. Falling. It worked! The blast gave me just enough lift to make it to the other side. I continued climbing and jumping and blasting my way up the Statue of Liberty as the tide of aliens rose closer and closer to me. In gym class, I'd never been the best at pull-ups, and by never the best, I mean unable to do anything but hang from the bar like a noodle. But I was able to climb every ledge with no problem, thanks to my new strong mechanical blaster arm. By the time I reached the top, I was actually starting to have fun. I opened a door and ran up this last staircase to the Statue of Liberty's crown. All right, Eric, let's blow this popsicle stand. I don't know where that came from. Blow this popsicle stand. It's something I have never said once in real life, but it seemed like something a cool video game hero might say. I stopped in my tracks when I rounded the corner. In the middle of the room was Eric, wearing a jetpack, pointing a blaster at me. Also, for some reason, he was wearing a gas mask. Oh, and one more thing. His right arm was long, slimy, and gray.